Welcome back to the Wizard Weekly, where we talk about everything in game. I was chasing a goblin this morning. I was making sure he still wasn't in here. So the other day I made, my little video talking about Nintendo's Secret Society playtest that they're releasing to their elite subscribers that, pay that $50 expansion pack membership that I've refused to cough up. And like I said in that video, this is a really big thing right now for Nintendo fans because, Nintendo, they rarely ever display any ongoing development process that they have for their game, unless it has something to do with the developer showcase and some sort of Nintendo Direct or anything of that nature. They don't really interact with the players that much unless they go after someone pirating one of their 20-year-old games, because at that point you're forcing their hand. They have to kill you. But yeah, the only thing that we knew about this playtest at that time was that it was locked behind the $50 paywall and that it was going to be some sort of mass multiplayer thing. We didn't know if it was a game, a software update. We didn't know anything. But of course, like we said, on the internet, there's no such thing as an NDA because people have been, exploiting and just telling everything that they've been seeing as far as this playtest if they got into it. And one of the first people that were able to break the news on this playtest was a dude here named Ethan, this guy. And as you can see, the original post he had got taken down already, so hopefully he's fled to Cuba where he's safe and sound from Nintendo's goons that are on their way. But even though Ethan likely got clapped into all oblivion, luckily the screenshots that he took did live on the internet, and we finally have official images that explain whatever this secret game that Nintendo's working on is actually going to be like. And in this first screenshot here, they explain one of the first areas and main areas of this online game that the player's going to be interacting with, called the Dev Core, and they explain it as where you can level up your character, get items for your journey, and commune with others. So it obviously shows that there's going to be a lot of social sandbox elements to this multiplayer game. And look, they even use words like saying separate space from the planet that you will be developing. So there's obviously going to be a lot of input on the player playing it from the players themselves, which sounds intriguing. And by the way, this level that they're playing right here in this Mario Wonder gameplay, I hated this shit. Whoever made this, designed this level, I fucking hate you. And then in the second screenshot, which I found the most interesting and what I really want to know more about, is this new mechanic that they're calling beacons, which is this green emit of light right here. Now apparently the higher that the beacon is in whatever part of the area that it's in, the more of the surrounding area that you'll have to plot and have that land as your own and build around. This is how they explain. As you can see, this little beacon is lower to the ground, so there's not that much area to build here, while this one right here that has this freaking Minecraft cobblestone thing where you just you jump up and put a block under you. That's what it look like they're doing right here. This obviously has a more widespread area, and then it goes even multi layers, I don't even know what they call that, multi platforms. I don't know. Within your beacon zone, your best work can be done. Now I'm not sure if this is going to be just creative work or this is where your base is going to be. They don't explain anything here, but I would hope that this mechanic is explained more and maybe made more sense as you level up and you can place your beacon higher, because I can already see this from a mile away being exploited because people are going to build the highest shit that they can. And then it interestingly says that players will repeat this process until the current planetary block is considered fully developed. So I'm sure there's going to be likely more than one player block that you can own. I'm just throwing out shit here. And lastly, what we have to go off here is this screenshot where they conclude that the goal is to work with others to fully develop a massive, expansive planet by utilizing creativity and farm resources. So this just goes back to what I said earlier. This is supposed to be a really massive social sandbox type of game by Nintendo, likely to rival some games, maybe hopefully not Metaverse, because that would suck, but maybe games like World of Warcraft or Guilds of War, or those eras of game that have just a big player base and overall big world to go in and play in. The title is also being developed by one of Nintendo's in-house studios, Ep.24, which I only know for the Nintendo Switch sports games, and that was something. The game isn't terrible for me, and from what I've played, I didn't really have any online connection problems, so it's apparent that the studio does have the capability to make online games, but take all that as you will. Now, as far as what kind of game that this MMO is going to be looking like to be, whether it's going to be all mini games or some sort of combat, we likely even have some input on that, because this person, Sky, on the platform of Blue Sky, which is crazy, they did some data mining on this playtest, and they found a bunch of really interesting files within it. Like here you see you're gonna be able to express yourself with a bunch of emojis and whatnot. We got a lot of files here named PvE and PvP, which I'm hoping means what they usually mean, as player versus everyone and player versus player. So there's likely going to be a lot of combat elements in this game, whether that combat means fist to fist or some sort of child-friendly mini games, because again, this is Nintendo. But going back to what we saw earlier, they did say that you're going to be able to farm a lot of resources off the planet that you'll be living in. So I'm guessing it's going to be like some sort of survivals MMO with Nintendo's own spin on it, hopefully. I think the worst case scenario that they do here is that they jack some sort of metaverse swag and just make this as weird as that whole thing can be, because metaverse is in a really weird spot, and I would hate to see Nintendo go that route. But this is a company that has prided itself on developing games that focus on the main thing being fun, so I'm hoping that this MMO can be that. But we'll all know sooner than later, because the playtest for those that are in goes live tonight, this Wednesday, so we should just wait and see. And moving on, hopefully to some good news that might spawn out of this some years down the line. But Naughty Dog developer, the people behind The Last of Us, Uncharted, obviously, what people don't even know, Crash Bandicoot back in the day. Apparently someone inside the business spoke to Ben Hansen, who is one of the founders over at MinMax, the podcast show on YouTube, which the video got pulled up right here. And apparently they told him that their next game, or one of their next online games, because from what we know they're developing multiple new single player franchises, is that it's going to have a lot of player freedom, which is a juxtaposition to what Naughty Dog has built in the last 10 to 15 years as far as their single player games goes, that has a more linear story based game that's more focused on the cinematics and overall storytelling of those games. Now, you guys might remember back when Neil Druckmann, the lead of Naughty Dog, he went to the Washington Post and he claimed that he was intrigued by games that don't have a linear based story but still tell a story, like Elden Ring. And ever since then, there's been echoes that whatever Naughty Dog is cooking up in the shadows is going to be hopefully revolutionary, as games like The Last of Us that came out at least 15 times in the last 10 years. And I gotta be honest, I have a lot of faith in the studio of Naughty Dog, because they've shown that they have a lot of range. Like, they have one of the craziest story games ever, Uncharted, here that they've made, but they also started off making, like I said, platform games like Crash Bandicoot and Jack, which were really amazing games of their time. Plus, all these do remasters and remakes that they're gouging for a price out of us. They look amazing on modern hardware. So combine all of that with the potential to create a really good game with a really seasoned and developed team, I think whatever this more freedom having game that they're cooking up is going to be really cool. At least I can infer that, because it seems that Naughty Dog is putting all their eggs into the single player basket, because if you remember back in December of last year, they hit us with the unfortunate news that they were going to be canceling The Last of Us Online, title that they were working on for a while. So they say that they're doing this just to work on more single player games, and hopefully this single player game with freedom that they're working on is going to benefit from all this. And lastly, for today, I just wanted to talk about some how they got me today. I'm going to be playing Black Ops 6 on launch day. Now, I kind of said this before in one of my older videos, like when the game first got its first few trailers or whatever, but I was kind of then on the fence, because Call of Duty for me, I usually just play it the first day, the first couple of months, and then I just leave it alone, at least for the last decade of them. And I've never rented a Call of Duty game in my life. Well, technically I did the Redbox. That was a rent, so look at me lying. But what I'm trying to get into is the fact that I resubscribed to Xbox Gamepass just for this game to play it on day one, because I didn't really think I would do that again. When I left Game Pass back in early this year, like January or some shit, I didn't think I was ever going to get it back, because I'm not into subscriptions. I don't like the whole model of we have a whole library of games that you don't own, and when you stop paying us after freaking thousands and thousands of dollars later, it's over with. But they got me, man. The hype got me. The game's coming out on the Friday, which luckily I don't have work that day, so I'm just really going for the nostalgia here. Those old days of a game coming out and it's the weekend, you don't have anything to do tomorrow, and you just want to sit back and enjoy a new game, hopefully with your buddies. Now, luckily, I did get my squad ready. I convinced other people to play this game with me on launch day, so that's going to be fun. As far as what I think Black Ops 6 will be as a game, if I think it's going to be good or not with the new campaign, the new zombies that they're showing off in the omnidirectional movement, I just think it's going to be Call of Duty. I think it's going to be fun for the first month and a half, and then I'm going to move on, which is likely why I'm decent with this business model of the subscriptions when I usually don't like it. I am personally looking mostly forward to the campaign of this title. Now, I've always loved Treyarch's Call of Duty campaigns that they've made in the past. Even Black Ops 3, people didn't really like that, but I enjoy playing that one too. So the campaign is what I got my bet on having the most fun in, but the multiplayer, I just think it's going to be the same multiplayer experience that we've all come to love with all first-person shooters, because there's like a million of them out there now. So you really just got to pick one and choose which one you like the most out of the gameplay loop. But yeah, apparently the preload also starts today, so I'm gonna have to get a head start on that shit, because oh my god, I don't even know if I got any space to do this thing. But yeah, I just don't think that you can beat the $11.99 PC Game Pass price tag versus the $69.99 price tag for a game that you've likely already played before. So I'm grateful for that. And yeah, that's all I gotta say for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.